Hey everybody, welcome to the live show, the Network 1901 live show. This week, it's just me, and we are talking about Disney's streaming service, which is now, we know the name of. It's called Disney Play. We're going to talk a bit about what we know is coming in 2019 with this brand new service that's only going to be $5 as of right now, which is a great deal considering the library that Disney now has. And also, we're going to be talking and speculating about some of the things that we'd love to see on the service. But in the meantime, thank you guys for joining the chat. I really do appreciate it. I'll be making sure to talk and interact with everybody that comes in. Angie's here, Jeff's here, Peter's here, My Heart Belongs to Disney is here, Bobby. So this is going to be a fun time hanging out, talking about what should be on the streaming service. We've had a lot of complications over the past few weeks with the live show. That's why it's just me this week. Last week it was just Shannon. In fact, Angie and I are going to be moving next week, so it'll be just Shannon again next week. And until we figure out some of the things to do to get all three of us together, we'll be one at a time. But we will definitely be all three together eventually on the live show. Before we get going, I'm excited, just to say hey and what's going on. We've had a lot of things happening with Network 1901 recently. Angie and I got to go to Knott's Scary Farm. We'll be going to the Queen Mary's Dark Harbor, so a lot of Halloween happenings are coming up. So Shannon has been doing some Star Wars videos. Angie and I are going to be doing some Halloween episodes of Bonner Mouse Radio. We're going to have all kinds of great, probably Halloween-related content in October. It's the 25th anniversary of Hocus Pocus and the 25th anniversary of Nightmare Before Christmas. So, of course, we'll probably be talking about those things. I know Angie also wants to talk about Frankenweenie. You can ask her in the chat if you want to about that. But let's talk about the streaming service. Let's talk about what's going on with Disney Play. They keep on adding things, to this streaming service. Or at least launching ideas for the streaming service. So we do know a couple of things. And let me go down the list here of content that we know we're going to get that is really, really interesting. We're going to get a remake of Three Men and a Baby, and Father of the Bride, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, all of those films. We're also going to get a Lady and the Tramp live-action film and a Sword in the Stone live-action film. Then we're going to go straight to the streaming service, not go to the theaters at all. And we're going to get a Parent Trap? No, that's Lady and the Tramp. Parent Trap remake. Lots of remakes here of stuff that we all grew up on from Disney or from the 80s and 90s. Which I guess really shows you what group of people they're trying to target with this. I think they're really trying to target people who grew up in the 80s and 90s. Move my mic closer is what you're saying. Is that any better? I hope so. Move my mic a little bit closer. So I'm interested in some of these films and some of the remakes and seeing what they do. Although some of these films, like Three Men and a Baby or Parent Trap, are classics. So, what's that going to be like? Who knows? And then as far as TV shows, which is kind of the bread and butter, I feel like, of any streaming service these days. We have the Emmys now, like Handmaid's Tale was huge. All the Netflix and Hulu and Amazon shows are all huge. So we've got a lot of shows coming up. They're rebooting the Clone Wars. Star Wars, the Clone Wars Season 7 is happening. A High School Musical television show is happening. One I didn't know about, but I'm very interested in now. An Untitled Mighty Ducks series. And I don't know if that is going to be a hockey series or a bunch of ducks fighting crime in space series. For anybody who saw the old Mighty Ducks animated show, you know what I'm talking about. There's also going to be a Monsters, Inc. animated series. I don't know if that's going to be animated 3D or in two-dimensional classic hand-drawn animation, Be interested to see how that turns out. We're also going to get a Muppet series, a Loki series, a Scarlet Witch series, and a live-action Star Wars series. Those have already all been announced. So that's a lot, right? I feel like that's a lot of stuff that they already have. They don't even have a date that you can purchase Disney Play for yet. We don't know when that's going to launch. But is there anything within that list that people are really interested in, whether it be the movies or the TV shows? I know Bobby said any mention to the price point. I believe they're sticking to $5. They want you to spend only $5 for Disney, which beats out Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon. So it'll be the cheapest of all of those major TV and film. I guess like CBS is a little bit cheaper, but they only have like Star Trek right now. Brittany overjoyed the Clone Wars, hands down. Disney Play. My Heart Belongs to Disney. I thought that was a working title. It could be. They could definitely go with something different. We'll see. I think, though, Brittany thinks the biggest selling point is the Clone Wars. I kind of disagree. I think the live-action Star Wars show is going to be probably the biggest selling point to adults, or maybe like the Loki show, I think, possibly. And then like nostalgia factor, I would probably say, something like some of those movies that they're remaking. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff they haven't announced for this, whether it's new content or old content. And I'm curious to see, how they categorize stuff, how they're going to make things work. And by the way, this is going to be, Disney will become an exclusive thing, so you won't be able to get a lot of the Marvel and Star Wars films on Netflix or Hulu or things like that. I know that Captain Marvel, they've already said, will not go to Netflix. It will be the very first Marvel exclusive movie to be on the streaming service. So all of those Marvel movies will eventually come to the streaming service. They will no longer be on Netflix. I believe Star Wars has some kind of contract with Ted Turner and TBS networks. So through like the mid 2020s. So they will eventually in the long run go just to the streaming service. But for now, you can still see them on TV. My Heart Belongs to You says that I feel that the name should separate themselves from the Disney name. Keep it short, sweet, and to the point. That's true. I think that they should keep Disney out of the title of the streaming service completely. And I also feel like Disney Play is far too generic, but what do I know? They should put OG Disney Shorts. That is something that I said in the latest recording for Podcast 1901, which comes out tomorrow on our podcast feed. I said, I think, anybody remember like those old 30-minute to hour-long blocks of television where they just played like 4 or 5 old Mickey Mouse shorts or Pluto, Goofy, like that kind of thing? And of course, like Warner Brothers did their thing with Looney Tunes. I would love to see that as well. I would think that is something that I would want to see. I would want to see the new Mickey Mouse shorts. I don't know if I'd want to see them blended in together. I feel like that'd be kind of weird. But I'd like to see that. And here's a question for a lot of you. So I know certain streaming services have a live feed. I'm a network member of WWE, Pro Wrestling. I'm not afraid and ashamed of it, but they have kind of a live feed where they, you can turn on their network and there's something already playing, or you can go to the on-demand service. So are you interested in that, or do you like the more Netflix style where it's like as soon as it boots up, you just have a giant list of movies or TV shows to pick from? Or do you prefer going straight to some content, whether or not you watch it or leave it on and whatnot? Like, is that something you're interested in? Let me know. Jeff said it's too close to the Parks app. I agree. Like, there's the Disney Parks Play app which allows you to play games within Disneyland and Walt Disney World. I feel like that they should get rid of that. And actually, on the latest reimagining of the Disneyland app, they've integrated that into the Disneyland app. So I could imagine that that they will probably be getting rid of the Play Parks app completely and just integrating it. Maybe that's something that will be coming up. Skylar, I would watch Silly Symphonies and Looney Tunes before school every day as a kid. Yeah, I'm the same way. I think I sat around at like 6 a.m. and just watched short cartoons until it was like time to like throw on the backpack and go. Bobby said yes, especially the goofy sports stuff. I mean, the how-to goofy shorts are like classics, right? Like that would be a great block to have like something together. And maybe that's one of the things that they can do is have collections of shorts rather than just like 30-minute blocks of random shorts. Maybe you can have collections like that. So you have the goofy how-to series, everything Mickey, like old Mickey, and then you have like new Mickey, you have Donald Duck shorts, the gang all together, like that kind of stuff would be great. I'm worried the focus will not be on trying to digitize the entire library. Possibly so. I don't know if their plan is to digitize everything and give away everything. Quite a few years ago, they had like this DVD set, the Treasures from the Vault, and those were like wonderful little sets that were like, you could get so many different shorts together or so many different old TV specials or old TV Disneyland TV show episodes that had like Davy Crockett and stuff like that. And I think that was kind of a nice little block, but they didn't give you everything. They didn't give away everything. And maybe that's just how it will kind of be. And just said, I could see them having something like Netflix, where there's a kids section and you can just hand your kid your tablet. I mean, 100% the Disney streaming service is going to be the most kid-friendly service of all of them, right? So it would totally make sense that parents would buy into the Disney streaming service at the $5 price point so that they can just give it to their kid. And of course, their kid can sit around and just watch whatever on their tablet. The internet is real and we're in such a weird age. Like, I couldn't imagine as a kid myself of like sitting with a tablet in front of me. It's so weird. And also I think the True Nature documentaries would be great to put on. All the Disney nature documentaries would be great to put on. I know Angie said the behind the scenes docs. Any of like the Blu-ray DVD extras, I mean, that could be great. Like if you were to click on, let's say like Pinocchio, right? And then not only could you watch the movie Pinocchio, but you could watch like everything that there is to know about Pinocchio. I think that would be a great little like thing that nobody else has. That's a great idea. Is there anything else that anybody would love to see that's like old that, you'd love to see get thrown up there? Obviously, I would assume they'll be rotating in and out Disney animated classics. They'll be rotating in and out Pixar films, Marvel, Star Wars. Jeff said the Epcot magazine. I'm not familiar with the Epcot magazine. I know that there were a ton of like Epcot specials. I don't know if that's the same. My Heart Belongs to Disney, the Song of the South. That if that happens within my lifetime, I would be extremely surprised. There's just no way. If you want to see Song of the South, you can type in like on YouTube Song of the South like full movie. It's kind of a grainy quality, but you can watch it if you want to. It was a show from the 80s that was like Good Morning America. I like that idea. I would do that. I actually think here's one of the things that I think Disney now has an ability to do is to do a live show or some kind of tape delayed show every day from a Disney theme park. or once a week, from a Disney theme park. One of the things that got me into the Disney parks in general were all those like TV specials, right? The opening of like California Adventure or Epcot or whatever. I remember the opening of Splash Mountain. They had a special for that, and all of the like Travel Channel. How did they make that kind of specials? I love those, and they got me so excited for trips. They got me so into Disney. Like if they could do that on a weekly basis of having some kind of live from the parks type of thing. I mean, they have the ability. They have the setup at the parks. I mean, we see it when they do the Christmas parade every year and whatnot. So if they could do something, and here's the thing too, like Universal does the show with Mario Lopez, Extra, I believe is the show that he does. They do that from the front of Universal Hollywood every single day. So why can't you do that from Disneyland every single day, and have some kind of live show set up, maybe somewhere near the castle or something like that. I think that's a great idea. Let's see. Brittany said, I want all of the original footage of Walt Disney to be available from his TV specials. I know, me too. The opening day from Disneyland. I could watch that a bunch of times. Manuel said Spider-Man, the animated series from 1994. Here's the thing. You can now get Spider-Man. You could now get, with the Fox merger, you can get the X-Men series. You can get the Tick. You can get like Eek the Cat. There's tons of stuff that was Fox oriented animation, like in kind of that silver age or like Renaissance age of television animation in like the late 80s, early 90s. That's something that that we can definitely get. I think that there's a ton of really awesome stuff that they could bring back. I would love to see a lot of classic films, the live action films that nobody's really seen or hasn't seen in a long time, that you can't find it. Like you can't find like the Shaggy DA like anywhere, right? Or like the Apple Dumpling Gang. You can't find the old version of The Parent Trap. Anywhere. And so it'd be great to see those kinds of films. Some of the stuff that they've been doing with like Turner Classic Movies, every quarter or whatever, that they do like a whole block, a whole like 7 p.m. to like 3 a.m. in the morning thing. I love that. You just can't, like Jeff said, you can't get those kinds of movies anywhere. And if you can find a DVD of it, like you're real lucky. And I think people would be interested in seeing some of those old movies, I've never seen the full movie of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and this would be my opportunity to see it, My heart belongs to Disney. My wish list is 3 miles long. I feel like Disney should have multiple versions of the same film. I guess that's kind of what they're doing, right? They're making like a Parent Trap and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and all that once again. So I'm kind of like weird on Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like Rick Moranis, to me, can you replace Rick Moranis? Like you can't really bring him back. He's like too old for that character at this point. So I don't know. Bring back the bad movies like the Black Hole. I mean, why not? Like you can bring back any bad movies because like who cares? People watch it because they paid the $5 and sure. Like, I think one of my favorite things to do with Netflix, with some of my friends, Angie knows this, like we get together and watch a really bad movie and Mystery Science Theater it. We just make fun of it and it's a great time. So here's your way to, for Disney to, gain back some notoriety on some of these older bad films, and, people can just have their way with it. As in have both the original and the remastered version. Yeah, you can, you could do that if you want to. You can add in, you could have like director's cuts of films. You could have, I mean, you could have audio commentaries. That would be fun too, to have different audio commentaries in. I think the possibilities here are just endless. I almost think that the one thing that would like really, really separate the Disney Play streaming service from all of the other streaming services, but I know they won't do this, is to also have a gaming function. Like if you could plug in a controller and be able to play some of the old like Disney, Nintendo, and Sega Genesis games and things like that, or to be able to play Kingdom Hearts. They won't do that though. They won't do that. People will watch commentaries. If they somehow had commentaries from the 9 Old Men, Disney's like 9 Old Men of animation, for all of the films that they worked on, if they had like Mary Blair doing commentary on some of the stuff she worked on, hands down, I would watch that stuff. That is amazing. Also, commentaries for like all the Marvel films and Star Wars films, I think that stuff's great. Yeah, Jeff, that would be really cool if that's like 10 years off. It's probably so. Probably not that into gaming. Although, let's be honest, when I was a kid, Sega Channel was groundbreaking. That was like the first streaming service that there ever was. So, that's great. I would love to see more streaming services with gaming, please. That would be awesome. It is asking for too much though for the gaming. That's true. I think this is really smart of Disney to do this, especially in creating original content for it. They just got to give us an overwhelming amount of content for us to bite. Yeah, I think one of the problems with a lot of streaming services when they launch, let's talk about Yahoo Streams. Yahoo Streams launched with one show, one major show, and that was Community. And then they blamed Community when they died like a year later. And it was because they were focusing on such a niche market with one show. It was just unfortunate. Like, you have to launch with as much stuff right out of the gate as possible. I think that would be huge. John Haynes said, I would love to see them do documentaries on park rides. Yes. Again, I think that's something, if you could do like a daily or weekly show from the Disney parks where, you had somebody who talked about the backstory and about a ride, how they created it, what they've been doing with it, kind of doing a history of the parks as well as like what's going on at the parks at the time. I think that'd be a great kind of like weekly show to put out. If they're going to have less bingeable stuff and more kind of week-to-week stuff, I think that would be something like live from the Disney parks. So it's the kind of stuff they covered in Epcot magazine. Let's do that again then. That sounds amazing. Why did they ever get rid of this? Yeah, when I log into my family's Netflix account, you get to choose who is watching. I would imagine that would be preferable for kids. Yeah, I would think that you would kind of have different categories. Like Angie said, you would have like a kids one and whatnot. And one of the things, that we talked about coming into tomorrow's podcast show, which you should definitely check out, Network 1901 on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts, Stitcher if you're like a Android user. I just like Stitcher anyway. But, we talked about the Netflix Marvel shows. Like, are they kind of too extreme for what the Disney Play app will be? Like, I would assume the Loki and Scarlet Witch shows that they've already announced will be much tamer compared to, like, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Daredevil, Iron Fist. Yeah, I don't know. Theme park stuff, though, is an interesting thing. I wonder how they will incorporate that into the streaming service. I really wonder what the new Muppets show is going to be like. Are they going to go back to the old tried and true format of the variety show? Are they going to try something different like they did with the more Office type of show that they did recently? I actually really liked that newer show. It just, people didn't give it a chance. They're buying Fox. I think they will allow parents to be responsible for their kids. Yeah. I think they may have some more TV 14 type of stuff. Stuff from Fox that are now gaining. Like, man, if they have like the X-Files, stuff like that, like that was on Fox for a long time, like that's stuff that I would want to watch, that I'm sure like little kids would not be okay with, but I would sit down and watch the X-Files. I would love it if Disney posted the vacation brochure videos. Sure, why not? I mean, here's the thing too, like if you wanted to learn about Disney World or Disneyland or any of the international parks, here's a great way to advertise it. You've already got people's attention, so get in on that. Yeah, all about archiving. Agree. Like, man, they've got so much content. I mean, somebody's told me that like now with Fox, they own something like 65% of the market of film and television, so they just have a ton of stuff. Yeah. Angie's considering getting Hulu just for X-Files. Side note, Angie's mom was here. The background's a little bit bare right now. Angie and I are actually moving at the end of this month, and her mom was in town helping us pack, and during their downtime, they sat and watched X-Files. So, yeah. Vertical integration, I don't know. I really feel like Instagram video really wants to try hard, but I just don't feel like people are buying into the vertical video at this point. I just don't. I would want them to bring back Agent Carter. Yes, that would be great if they could launch like the series again. Missed opportunities. People just didn't even know. People had no idea. I'm sure that they'll probably be putting Shield, Agents of Shield on there, yeah, Jeff, when we had Hulu, and we'll probably be buying into Hulu again when we move into our new place, pay up the extra $2 or $3 for the non-commercial Hulu. It's worth it. Totally worth it. What do you think of the DC Universe streaming service? Okay. Other streaming services that are now launching. DC is launching a streaming service. We've got the CBS one that has Star Trek, things like that. Again, I feel like you have to overload your streaming service from day one. If you do not, you will end up like Yahoo, where you just have nothing, or you end up like Crackle, where like you have to give it away for free on like Roku or Apple TV or whatever. DC is just such a narrow niche thing. Like, it would be better if the DC streaming service was just an app where you could read all of the comic books, watch all of the TV series, watch all of the movies. That's, I think, the better format to go. I think just having a streaming service that has nothing to do with the comic books is a disservice to DC lovers. I feel like true DC lovers are comic book people. Although, if you've never seen like Batman or Robin, there's your chance. There's your chance to watch that in all of its glory. Offer subtitles for other languages, maybe even for commentary. Agreed. That will be something probably as a global expansion. I would assume that they would start putting things in all types of languages. Good thought. Good thought. Having the streaming service has a major plus because shows have to be so popular to be on network television, but on Netflix they can be smaller audiences. Yeah, you can have much more cult classic-y and niche-y type of shows, and even if something doesn't work on television, you can move it over to the streaming service. Because Disney, even though they're launching this, they're still not getting rid of Disney Channel. They're still not getting rid of Disney XD. They're not dropping ABC or ESPN. So, and that's another thing. They have ESPN. Are they going to make a deal to broadcast sports? Do you think Disney will include a rating system? They have to. I'm sure that that's something that the MPAA will definitely require of any type of streaming service, any type of movie, any type of TV show. They will definitely require that. yeah, Sammy said hi, how's it going? Yeah, they can definitely take more liberties. Bring back Futurama. Listen, Futurama has been to the grave more times than like any other show, and I love Futurama. If you love Futurama, check out Disenchantment is on Netflix, and it's fantastic. If you love that kind of Simpson-y Futurama humor, Matt Groening type of show. Bring back Mickey Mouse size. Yes. Any of the stuff that was on like really early Disney Channel, like the live action Winnie the Pooh series. There was like a live action Alice in Wonderland series, like the Woozles. There was so much other stuff, like the original Muppet Babies, all of that kind of stuff you can throw on there. The original Mickey Mouse Club from like the 50s, you could put on like the 90s Mickey Mouse Club. Yeah. Woozles, yeah, exactly. And then you've got, all of the Disney animation stuff from the 90s. You've got, Darkwing Duck, Goof Troop, DuckTales, Gummy Bears, Gargoyles, Mighty Ducks again. Yeah, tons of stuff. But actually, my heart belongs to Disney. I feel like Fraggle Rock actually is, I think is owned by Nickelodeon, so you won't see Fraggle Rock. You might see Bear in the Big Blue House. That was definitely a Disney show. And of course the Muppets. But Sesame Street and Fraggle Rock won't be. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about that. I know I ruined your day, Angie. I'm sorry. Yeah, DuckTales got renewed for a third season. I'm super impressed with how DuckTales has gone over, as well as with like all of the other animated shows that they've put out recently. DuckTales, though, I've been seeing some of the plush dolls at Disneyland. They've got a Huey, Louie, Dewey, and Webby plush. I'm waiting for that Scrooge plush. Sammy said, I just want to watch Clone Wars Season 7 and the Loki TV show. I think those are going to be huge sells. I think that the new live-action Star Wars will also be a huge sell as well. Skylar, I miss Bear in the Big Blue House. I bet, like, if you watched Bear in the Big Blue House, though, now you'd be like, wow, this is the show I watched. It's like almost like if you were to rewatch like Blue's Clues now. If you watch Blue's Clues as like a kid, you'd be like, what? I will say, though, Sesame Street holds up. Sesame Street still is an awesome show. I don't care if you're 5 or 50. Sesame Street is amazing. Milo Murphy's Law Star versus Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls is a show that they could definitely reboot and relaunch. I think so. Pardon me. I also think Phineas and Ferb is a show that people still love, and I think that they could do more with. Kim Possible, show people loved, still do more with it. I wonder if Disney would be able to stream media that it has distribution rights for currently, like the Pokemon anime. That is possible. They've had deals with Studio Ghibli in the past. I could see that happening as well. I could see them making a lot of deals with like more smaller animation companies to kind of bring them on board, similar to, initially with Pixar. Although not to the degree that they, bought out Pixar, but they could definitely bring some smaller entities on. I'm glad that now we're now in the chat at a Blue's Clues love fest. Marvel Rising, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they also add in all of the different X-Men films that they've put out into the streaming service. So then you'll have the X-Men films sitting right alongside all of the other Marvel Cinematic Universe films. So yeah, super stoked about everything. Just beyond the streaming service stuff, I'd love to kind of sit and chat with people for a few more minutes before we end the live stream this week. So if anybody has any thoughts or questions, any suggestions for any videos or podcasts that are coming up, any thoughts on stuff that we've been doing recently, I'd love to hear from you and hear what you have to say. So yeah, and I'm sorry that I left the subscribe thing up like super long time. I didn't mean to do that, you know. Also, you could follow me at Watermouse Josh on Instagram or Twitter. Follow at Network 1901 on Instagram and Twitter as well. We still talk to people. We put out polls and stuff like that. What will happen to shows like Marvel Runaways on Hulu? Do you think those shows will get the axe? I don't think they'll renew for new seasons at all. But they may carry, you know, whatever seasons air already. Yeah, I that's a tough one because we don't even know what's going to happen to, you know, like the new Marvel X-Men films like Dark Phoenix, you know, or New Mutants. So that's up in the air. I'm not sure. And in fact, I feel like Marvel's kind of dropped the ball. They've had a bunch of different shows kind of go up all at once that like just nobody's talking. Like, who's talking about Cloak and Dagger? Like, nobody. I haven't even seen it. So anyways, yeah. What are your thoughts about what Bob Iger said this week? The interview that he had was interesting. It was kind of open, although I would say that he gave some pretty corporate-y answers. You know, he doesn't really know the fate of a lot of the things going on. He lets Marvel kind of run itself. He lets Lucasfilm kind of run itself. I mean, when he has to step in and make some decisions, or when he has to kind of, you know, put his stamp on agree, disagree, I feel like he kind of goes with the flow of the room, which is nice that, you know, a boss is doing that. So, like, you know, he was talking about the firings that they've had recently, and he just said, yeah, I mean, I kind of went along with it. I didn't really say, like, this has to happen. So it kind of, it's not a management trickling down effect. It's like a company trickling up to him kind of effect. And I do kind of like that from him. I also think that that him saying, you know, that they own Fox and that Rupert Murdoch has the most shares, you know, and he's on the board at this point. I'm not worried about that. I mean, truthfully, Bob Iger, in most people's eyes, is probably Republican, and he was going to probably run Republican if he was going to run for office, and then he's talked about running Democrat against Donald Trump, and I don't think he'll really ever run. He just keeps on staying at Disney, like he keeps on re-upping for a few more years. So yeah, I think it was more of a fluff piece than people probably put on. You know, I think that he said some interesting things, but yeah. Do you think KK and RJ are going to be with Lucasfilm for a while, or are they on the outs? I think Lucasfilm in general will probably stay the same, unless something seriously happens. Like Rian Johnson has said stuff on Twitter, but you know, he's not getting the axe unless everybody really, really hates him at Lucasfilm and they see him in a bad light, or he says something so completely obscene. You know, but again, I think that will not come completely from Bob Iger. I think that will be like a Lucasfilm decision, and then Bob Iger will give the stamp of approval. Bob Iger did say he learned the lesson from Solo, and I hope that they learn a lesson in the long run about just over-manufacturing so much stuff all the time. They have so many things always coming out. You know, because Angie and I try and go to as many movies and do as much stuff for Network 1901 as possible, and it's difficult to keep up with sometimes the amount of stuff they're pumping out. Yeah. Bob Iger did say he learned his lesson from Solo, yeah. And then what do you think will happen to Marvel Netflix shows? I think they will probably still just stay on Netflix. I feel like those shows won't be carried over to Disney's streaming service. They're just too dark. Like Jessica Jones is too dark for that service. Jessica Jones, don't get me wrong, that's my favorite TV show that Marvel's put out. It's one of my favorite shows in general. That first season was like magnificent. It was amazing. But I think they'll stay on Netflix because they have a better home there probably than the Disney streaming service. The streaming service will kill the cinema as we know it. And Jeff, I don't know anything really about Alan Horn, what he's said or what he's done. I don't think the streaming service will kill the cinema. I don't think the cinema is barely alive now. We're having bigger box office numbers than we've ever had, and especially internationally. International matters more than you'd ever think. And movie theaters are changing their dynamic. They're changing the way that they're doing things. Angie and I love going to the Alamo Drafthouse movie theaters, and their whole experience, right? So there's like the dining element. They have like the dining movie theaters. Alamo Drafthouse, they don't play like those quiz games before movies. They play like fun, silly clips that kind of relate to the movie that you're watching. They also host, and I've seen a lot of movie theaters starting to do this, hosting like movie marathons. I know like right before Fantastic Beasts is coming out this year, they've got a ton of Harry Potter movie marathons. A lot of movie theaters for October are playing like old classic scary movies. So there is something to be said about going and to the cinema. It's an experience. I think people still like it as an experience. I don't think that will ever go away. There's something fun as a date night to go to the cinema rather than just, the streaming service. Have you watched Iron Fist from Jeff? I have not watched Iron Fist. I watched the first season of Luke Cage. I've watched 2 seasons of Daredevil, and we're still trying to finish up the second season of Jessica Jones. I'm going to go back and watch Iron Fist and then watch Defenders. I haven't watched Defenders either yet. Fast Pass Facts, welcome to the live stream. It's so nice to have you here. I hope Mexico City is doing very well. Fathom events are great. They do a lot of anime, TCM events. Yeah, here's the thing about you saying that tent poles only exist. Movies have to be either go big or go home. I kind of disagree to a certain extent. Yes, the studios want movies to be these huge big blockbusters, but I do feel like movie companies are making enough money on these huge big blockbusters that they don't really need to have every movie knock it out of the park home run, right? And so the movie theater will continue to play movies as long as the movie companies keep making movies. And so I think they're willing to keep making movies, to keep taking chances on film, and movie theaters are getting much more interesting. And I love going to the theater still, and a lot of the classic old movie theaters, in every place, it seems like they're kind of reviving old movie houses and giving them a second wind, and I love that kind of stuff. Sam says, how long do you think movies will take to reach the Disney streaming service after digital and DVD releases? Ooh, I don't know, because you would assume that they want people still to buy into digital and DVD and Blu-ray. So I would say that you're probably still on the same line, of let's say when a movie comes out, you've probably got 4 to 5 months, maybe 6 months before it comes out on Blu-ray or digital. And I would say you probably got another like 4 months before it hits the service. That would be my guess. Movies that make a profit will continue to be made, but not always getting a cinematic release. Yeah, that's actually kind of an interesting thing too that Netflix has done, right? We've had a lot of movies come out on Netflix that were never even in theaters. Disney's looking to do the exact same thing. They're looking to just kind of launch movies onto the service, but clearly they're still going to make movies for the theater, like Star Wars Episode 9 is not going to be like a straight to, streaming service film. But now you have this new kind of category of film of straight to streaming that like you can take chances and take risks, and it's okay because you're not thinking of it making money. So, Jeff's, hopefully as quickly as they go to Netflix. I'm thinking probably the same. I don't think that you're gonna see a movie come out, let's say in May, and then be on the service by October. I would think that you're probably not gonna see it on the streaming service until January, February. Like give it like 10 months before it's on the service. 90-day trial. I would probably say they'll give you like 30-day trial. I feel like that's how they'll go. I hope kind of the Disney streaming service branches out to some of the people who are like podcasters or YouTubers or stuff like that, and we can kind of give discounts, and stuff like that for people. That would be nice. Black Panther came out in February, was on Netflix in July. That's a pretty quick turnaround, to be honest with you. So that could be. I mean, I think Solo comes out on Blu-ray next week, I think, something like that, or like mid-month October, and so it's already on digital. So I would assume probably by Christmas you'll see it on Netflix. So yeah, that's true. An affiliate program would be awesome. Oh, 90 days was referring to how long between a film's theatrical premiere and its home video release. Yeah, A Wrinkle in Time was out in early March and DVD by late May. Here's the thing, though, about Wrinkle in Time and it being out in late May. The film they knew was not going to make any more at the theater, and then when they pulled it sooner than later, like when Star Wars The Force Awakens came out, when Episode 7 came out, that movie was in theaters for like 3 months. And because they knew that they could just keep making money on people seeing it for like the 15th time. And then eventually, as those numbers died down, they took it away and then, put it out. So it depends on how well a movie does. That 90-day rule doesn't always apply. Sam said they got Black Panther on Netflix last Thursday. Here's the thing: we live in such like a international world these days, like such a connected international world. I don't even understand why they hold off on that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like why don't they just release it all on Netflix for everybody all at one time? It seems kind of silly. Affiliate program, question mark. Yeah, like Network 1901 would be an affiliate, and we would shill the streaming service to you and give you a discount code, and in return, Disney would put us kind of not on their payroll, but for every person that like signs up through us, maybe we'd get like a $5 something. That's kind of like anytime you see people on YouTube or podcasts or anybody like saying like, hey, check out Dollar Shave Club, or hey, check out Squarespace, or so that's that. It's an affiliate program where like if you sign up through them, then they get like a little kickback from it. Maybe the streaming service will be a tool for stuff like revamping characters for new cinematic releases. That is possible. Here's the thing too. Like they just launched, I think, in the Philippines, which of all places is kind of weird. They launched like a new Three Caballeros show, and I know that eventually is going to come to Disney Channel. I could see it being on the streaming service, and I could see like a whole new crowd of people being in love with the Three Caballeros characters. So that could be that, With Marvel, they wanted to freshen up the characters we would be seeing in the MCU by coming out with new comics, new stories. Yeah, exactly. Pirating. This may resolve some pirating. I don't know though. What am I most excited for on the streaming service? Out of the stuff that's been announced already, the brand new Muppets show is the thing that like just hits me right in the heart, you know. But I'm actually excited for some of the the live action Lady and the Tramp. I'm really interested to see how that pops up. So that's kind of my answer to that. My heart belongs to Disney. Do you think the service will have Married with Children, Malcolm in the Middle, Archer, The Simpsons, Family Guy, Futurama, Bob's Burgers, American Dad, King of the Hill, etc.? I do not think so. I think that Fox is being bought out, but there are still certain things. Like, Fox is basically being split into two. Disney's getting the library to a lot of older content, but they're still not getting like a lot of stuff from Fox, including some of those shows like The Simpsons, and they're still not getting Fox Sports and Fox News, I believe. So those will be an entirely new entity, and then like 20th century or 21st century Fox, Disney's getting. And yes, the original Lady and the Tramp was originally slated for the theaters, but then they saw this and were like, yeah. Legend of the Three Caballeros, have you seen it? Yes, I have. I saw the first episode. It's fantastic. If you know me, my favorite character, is he on the wall somewhere? He may not be here anymore. We're moving, so we're trying to like pack some stuff up. He's not on the wall anymore, but Jose Carioca is my favorite Disney character of all time. So I'm super excited to see Jose in any form possible. Can't wait for the live action Aladdin with Will Smith. I agree, although I think this might be the first time that people have been skeptical since probably since Heath Ledger played the Joker, right? People were like, "Oh, Heath Ledger can't play the Joker." Like Jack Nicholson played the Joker, and then Heath Ledger like knocked it out of the park. But Will Smith's got some big shoes to fill. And yes, Aladdin, the live action Aladdin, will be released theatrically. Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap up things now. We've been going for about an hour. A little less than an hour. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and doing this live chat, talking about the Disney streaming service. I appreciate it. My thoughts on the Christopher Robin movie. I loved it. Angie and I went to go see it the first day it came out. It was pretty nice, pretty fantastic. Not the best film in the whole world. A film that you could probably forget about by the end of the year. But it was a cute film. It was nice for what it was. And I enjoyed it. And I kind of want one of those like little plush Pooh dolls. Very beautiful, cinematically, beautifully shot film. I will say that. We will have this week for Modern Mouse Radio for Disney-fied personalities on the podcast feed. We'll have videos coming out this week. Still with this background and everything. Angie and I actually move next week on Sunday, so Shannon will be back in the seat doing the live show next Sunday. And then Angie, I believe, will be doing the week after that. Or maybe I will. I'm not sure. We're trying to figure it out. But Angie and I are moving. September 30th, we'll be in our new place on October 1st. So look out for kind of a new setup a little bit when we have our new place. So, yeah. Anyways, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Everybody's saying thank you, Josh. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me. This would not be a live show if nobody came and hung out with me. So I appreciate it very much. Thanks for hanging. Thanks for just playing around, being silly, talking Disney with me. I always love talking Disney. And until next week, I guess not me, but keep on moving, people. We'll see you later.